This podcast contains some explicit language. Viewer discretion is advised. Previously on the Embracing the Journey podcast.
I am at the lowest position I have ever been in my life financially at the moment. I had to budget to make sure I had enough gas to come here. The other side of that coin is that I'm happier than I've ever been, and it has nothing to do with money.
How and why do you still have this like twinkle in your eye and this like light in your heart? Welcome back to Embracing the Journey podcast.
I self-medicated big time, and I spent.
Were you
so
running
much
from
time.
something?
Oh yeah.
So explain that. So what does that do? Like, what does that all encompass?
So it's a very structured process. I know that there's like MAPS out here in Seattle. I can't remember what that acronym stands for, but it is kind of one of the leading edges of that movement. You're probably seeing a lot of like psychedelic therapy at home kits and stuff are coming out now. And before all that stuff was happening, I was involved with a community of healers. And the true story is that I was up in the hills of Bountiful, Utah, contemplating suicide. I had a pistol in my truck, and I had forgotten that I had a meeting set up for that day. And I was so high. I smoked so much pot, and I was standing in the sun, just kind of like soaking it up. And there was this really beautiful layer of ice. It was still early-ish in the year, like February, but the sun was heating up the water underneath it, and there were currents flowing underneath, and it was a big puddle. And I had never seen anything like that before, just like silt flowing underneath the top of the ice in this standing water. And my phone rang, and it was her. And I'm not naming names on purpose. She asked how I was doing, and I lied to her and said I was okay. And
This is the one we walked away from,
no,
or a different one?
This is a healing person in my
Perfect.
life.
Perfect.
Truly, the impact that she's made for me and so many other people. I get emotional thinking about it, because if she hadn't called me that day, I probably would have killed myself. And the conversation that we had, she was telling me about psychedelic therapy and how it works for people and what it does. And for the first time in my life, I clawed through all of the debris and the garbage and the slime and the disgust, and I saw my inner child naked and shivering at the bottom of that hole. And I picked him up, and I loved on him. And I felt hope, real hope. And I jumped in so hard. I invested so much time and money into one of the first healing modalities that actually made an impact for me. And I have done CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. I've done ACT, which is acceptance commitment therapy, radical acceptance, talk therapy, group therapy, with the VA, without the VA, all of it, man. And until I got involved in conscious community and actual psychedelic healing, all I ever learned was how to put on a better mask, and how to fit into society better, and how to keep the people around me close, but just far enough away that they would never know who I am.
That's deep. So you saw your inner child needing love, needing hope, needing someone just to grab them and say, it's going to be okay.
Yep.
And that was a shifting moment for you.
Oh, significant life event, 100%.
Was that the first time you wanted to take your life?
No. I had one attempt before that. I got really, really drunk and took a bunch of pills and went into the crawl space of my house and tried to put a bag over my head, but I couldn't do it. Like, I got the bag on and stuff like that, but I couldn't commit.
Are you happy about that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You got to celebrate every failure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Interesting. So what's next for Andrew?
You know what? I'm open, stepping forward in faith, coming here. I've got 2 books I'm working on. I'm editing my second collection of poetry right now. My first book, it's actually sitting right there. It's called Scared Little Poet. It's actually my second book, but this is my first collection of poetry I've put out. The new collection is called Savage Poet, and it's written through a completely different lens, and it's about twice as long. And I think it's very impactful.
Where could people purchase these?
You want to connect with me on I am Andrew Carroll on Instagram. Is awesome. And then you've got my link tree right there.
Perfect.
I'm working on building out my website and my storefront at the moment. I'm in the middle of like this coding boot camp that is just chewing me up. But I hope to have some things created by the end of the year in that way that'll help really unite the artistic and creative community out here in Seattle in a big way. And then what I'm really excited about, obviously, is that the poetry is exciting, but I'm working on a book right now that's called The Tao of Your Name Here. And what that deals with is really ruthless discipline with yourself, the ruthless accountability for yourself, discovering your own purpose. And I know that we started out, I am a relationship coach. I'm a communication artist. That's my passion. My mom told me I was full sentences at 9 months old. Just bananas.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I've always had a problem with other people telling me what to do. Always. And you need mentorship and you need guidance and things like that. But the Tao of Your Name Here is all about how do you find your purpose? How do you create that system for yourself that keeps you ruthlessly committed and in the right direction, going the right way? And what are the real struggles and challenges that this society has put in the way for you to have to deal with? And it's so, man, you mentioned social media, and I know like we're putting this out on Instagram and all that kind of stuff, but the unconscious consumption of culture is ruining our youth.
We'll be right back.
Different.
Strange.
Offbeat.
Visionary.
Genius.
Amazing.
What makes you different makes you great.
Embrace your punch.
Welcome back to Embracing the Journey podcast.
It is destroying young black men and young black women. It is destroying everyone across the board. It is creating division. It is creating strife, contention. When somebody tells me that, I'm depressed and I have anxiety and I have this, and I'm like, those are teaching tools, dude, telling you that you're behaving out of alignment with your purpose and who you are. And people don't like to hear that, because that means that then you have to take a deep look at who am I, and what am I doing in life, and what should I be doing differently. And I know people don't like the word should, but I'm a poet and that's still the one that comes up. So deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, if you're out of alignment with what you're meant to be doing, the universe is going to go ahead and poke you a lot. And even jealousy is one of my favorite examples of this. Jealousy is a teaching tool. When I walk around and I see something that gets me like, ooh, I see this person doing that and I want that. Like, okay, well, what does that actually mean? Well, that's important to me. That is something that I value and I'm not creating in my own life. I don't want to take it from them. I'm not coveting it. I want to create that for myself. Which is totally different than seeing somebody's Ferrari and being like, oh, I want that Ferrari. That's coveting, So I like to look at those kind of feelings. They're tools. What is it teaching me? And then you got to go into the body. Just body scanning meditation is so incredibly important. You have to drop into that. And again, going back to the programming that's in our culture and our society, is we are told constantly, drink and dissociate. It's socially acceptable. Work your ass off. That's socially acceptable. There's no work-life balance, even though we're going to tell you that you need to pursue work-life balance. If you look at the breadcrumbs they're setting out, it is to constantly keep you in a state of dissatisfaction so that you'll mindlessly consume in order to fill that void.
That is very true.
Yep. So when you start being conscious and you start looking at all these things and you put on the magic glasses, which is not mine, but I think it's one of the most beautiful ideas ever. And I cannot remember the full name of the individual who said that originally, and I apologize because he deserves credit for it. I think it's Dick Gregory, but I can't be 100% certain, so maybe we'll have to look that up. But the idea of magic glasses is that there's only one condition, is that once you put them on, you cannot take them off. And it's so true. So once you start seeing through the matrix and you've walked through the veil and you've sat by your spirit fire and you've made deals with spirits and you've seen it, and you've touched it, and you've tasted it, and you can silently sense what's happening around you, there's nothing else to do but to sit in this chair and share with you honestly about what I see and what I feel and what we've been through. And how do we come together as a tribe and a community and love one another in the face of what is really the design of a ruling class that is overlooked intentionally.
That's deep. Yeah, it's the way that you put the words together that bring that home too. And also, given the experiences that you've had over the course of your life, it really brings credibility to the things that come out of your mouth. If someone were just to pass you on the street, I don't think that they could put two and two together because of, and I'll say this to kind of make that make sense. Social media and society has given me, in my experience, a stigma about people that have visible tattoos. That they may not be the most open with individuals. They may not be the most kind with their words, but you define all of that, right? We're like, you said you've been sober for 82,
83 days, yeah.
Amazing. It's amazing. I lost my father behind substance abuse. My mother is still having trouble with alcohol. And I grew up in a household with that.
Yep.
And I went to these AA meetings with my mom and saw her be sober for a few days. And, you know, recently my mom has been battling breast cancer. And the doctor told her that she needs to stop smoking cigarettes and stop drinking. And she did for, I think it was like 34 days. Eyes cleared up, verbiage cleared up, smiles came out, and then something clicked. And then she goes right back to what she was doing. I have never drank or smoked a day in my life. And I don't really have that type of an addictive personality. And it was hard for me to understand, why not just stop? Not realizing that she had been doing this longer than I had been alive.
Yeah.
So my brother put it into words. Imagine one thing that's been in your life for the past 30-something years, and then overnight someone saying, you can't do that anymore. Like, how would you respond to that? And then it clicked. So the fact that it's been 80-something days for you, I would say amazing, but I don't think that gives that much gratitude from what it is that you've had to overcome, especially with the situations that would make sense as to why you would use these substances to cope. But you're taking everything on the chin right now, and you're feeling the punch, and you're feeling the gut wrench, and you're still here with a smile on your face.
Next week on the Embracing the Journey podcast.
I'm a firm believer that the only way that a person will leave this world is if they felt that they can offer nothing else, or that they have nothing else to give. And I think that's why you're still here today. It's because people need to hear you speak.
I appreciate that.
The biggest thing we take for granted is making it home that night.
I woke up this morning and I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to create value?
Decisions, good or bad, can change everything about your life, right?
Absolutely.